too many worlds
They do
out there.
exist.
I mean, we're here now, but who knows?
What's up, guys? My name is Dakota, and this is my podcast called A Place for Humans. And I'm just getting back from Mexico. I spent a month in Mexico seeking the magic mushroom, the Mexican magic mushroom. There's a mushroom in Mexico which gives you crazy visions if you eat it. And there's a group of people there called the Mazatec people who have a long history of exploring these visions and eating these mushrooms. And, well, I've been talking about that for the last couple podcasts, but we'll get more into that today also. But I wanted to share an interesting story that happened while I was in Mexico City before my whole journey started. I was in Mexico City. I was walking to a convenience store to get some like water or something and a lighter, I think. And I was with my friend, Daniela, and she recognized an Indian guy hanging outside the shop. And this Indian guy and his girlfriend invited us back to their apartment. This guy left India to move to Mexico. And yeah, we decided to go hang out at this guy's apartment and, just hang out. And this guy started talking about DMT. I don't know why people talk to me about DMT. I guess I just look like that type of person. But he started randomly talking about DMT, and he said that it's not intense for him. He's never had the experience that people talk about, like the DMT flash or the communication with the extraterrestrials or the others, the intelligences that exist in these plant realms, the realms that are the psychedelic realms that get blurred together when you ingest these certain chemicals. And this guy was just like, yeah, I don't know what people are talking about. I've done this before and it doesn't do much for me. And right away I knew, okay, you're just not smoking it right, because either that or you're a yogi. Those are the two options. Either you're just not smoking it right, or you're a yogi and you're already experiencing states so high that the DMT does nothing for you. But anyways, this guy bust out a thing of DMT, and I don't want to smoke DMT anymore. Maybe again I will in life, but not for a while. Because for me, well, it's all fun and games until you have rainbow serpents dissecting your stomach on a cosmic operation table. And that's what happened to me when I smoked DMT. And yeah, it sounds fun. Like that sounds fun. Like, oh wow, you hallucinate for 10 minutes and you have crazy visions, mystical visions and of heaven and hell and all the purgatories in between. And yeah, it sounds interesting until you're thrown into that situation, and that situation seems real. It seems just as real as this. So I'm almost done being sick. I know you guys have been hearing me complain about that, but I'm just now finally starting to feel normal again. But yeah, anyway, so I administered DMT for this small Indian man and his girlfriend in a shitty apartment in Mexico City. And yeah, these guys, you're not supposed to burn DMT. That's where a lot of people go wrong, is that they just will put it in a pipe or something and just light it up and hope for the best. But you want to vaporize DMT. So what I have done in the past is you ash it. You want to sandwich it. The sandwich method is what I call it, is where you put a little bit of weed on the bottom or tobacco, and then you put the DMT on top of it, and then either ash or more tobacco or weed. And what that does is cherries the DMT so that it melts, or that so it doesn't burn. You want to vaporize it. You don't want to burn it directly. And that's what these people were doing. And that's why they didn't have the experience in which other people have spoken about. So yeah, I did this for them, and they were both really confident about it, and I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just I don't know, maybe I'm just sensitive to that experience, but I know I'm not sensitive to that experience because afterwards the guy was like, never again will I take this drug. And because he hit it hard, he hit it big, 3 big hits, and they were so big that I was like, maybe this guy really does just smoke DMT all the time, like he claimed. Because I don't get how people do that. If you're one of the people that smoke DMT all the time, hats off to you, because I don't know how you can do that. People like to think I take psychedelics all the time because I just don't shut up about them. But that's not an experience you can have frequently. It sort of subdues you mentally, and it's very exhausting to go through that experience once, let alone multiple times. I mean, one experience can last a lifetime for some people. But anyways, I filmed the girls come down. I didn't get the guys come down. I didn't even think to film because I don't want to disrupt the space. I find this to be a very sacred space, and I don't want to ruin someone's trip. I want them to really bathe in the radiance of the mysterious shit that can happen in the DMT space, the DMT flash. And so this girl was coming down, and she started talking about I met them, like, finally I got to meet them, or like I never understood until now I finally understand. She started talking about how she met the beings. So I snuck my camera out and grabbed a clip of her talking about it, because that's my experience with DMT, is that you can communicate with an intelligence that exists in an altered state of awareness, sort of like a dream. And for those of you that don't know about my DMT experience, is I smoked DMT and was shot into a desert-like realm, a colorful desert full of blues and purples and these squiggly cacti creatures, and there were snakes in this world. And the interesting thing about this world is that it seemed freestanding, and I had a body in this world, an astral body. I could look around at the things in this world in the way that I'm moving my neck now and looking around this room. And I look over to this room, and I have like this little hang drum here. And I look away, I look back, and it's still there. That's how the DMT world was. I could look away and look back, and it was stationary. This seemed to be a pre-existing realm, or a constructed reality in which didn't move if I looked around. Like I could look around and it would stay positioned. So that was one interesting characteristic of the DMT flash. And these snakes saw me, and they went into my body and took me into a white light. And you can hear more about this on my channel. I've talked about it a few times. Just type in DMT Dakota Wint on YouTube. And I read a book while I was in Mexico called The Cosmic Serpent. And it blew my mind, actually. I can't believe I was recommended to read that book many times, and I read it in one sitting on a bus to Huautla in the Sierra Mazateca in Oaxaca in Mexico. The bus ride from Veracruz to Oaxaca, I read that book in one sitting, and it was really interesting. I have to read it again. But I want to play that video for you guys of that girl. I don't know her name. I kind of had a crush on her a little bit. She had an accent and was from Canada or something, and she was an author, and she was writing this book and traveling Mexico, and she took a bunch of peyote by herself, and just kind of reminded me of, she had like the artist spirit to her. She had a big fire lit, and she seemed like a wild card too. But anyways, here's a quick video of her talking about the beings that she met in the DMT space. And this is just a quick clip of it. And you can see on her face that she's in complete disbelief to what just happened.
perceive that they are there, or we're in that space of eternity, where everything is
And we're just talking
happening
hippie in the
now,
background.
everything is
She
happening,
can't even talk yet.
in a flux.
But previous to this silence, she wouldn't shut up. That's why I turned the camera on. She was like, I can't believe I met them.
I don't think there's any words for that.
There's no words for it.
They're
Are you gonna go?
they like enveloped me for sure. Like, and it was like a lot of them. Like I never saw them before, but they were just and then I opened my eyes and they started like going away, and I was like, no, we want them to stay there. They didn't say anything. There was just the feeling like that. Yeah, that it's okay. I guess that was that. I don't think there's a word for it. It was just warm and.
All right.
Sí.
Yeah, but I want to see them again.
¿Puedo tocar después?
I mean, I don't think we're.
Do you think they'll go back? They'll come back?
And she wanted to smoke it again.
There's too many worlds
They do
out there.
exist.
You see, she's saying they do exist. And I've had that experience too. So
They definitely exist.
you hear me
'Cause I've been there more than once.
reaffirming her. They definitely exist. Two fucking
What do you
lunatics.
do in Mexico? Well, I was studying there in London, business.
And look at her mind is blown.
I thought I was crazy for so long.
And right
Seriously,
now I'm working,
I couldn't even talk to people about it.
Business
But
company.
if you look into it,
And,
people have been
I'm
having these
also acting
experiences
a little bit. And I'm
from the
taking
start.
music
I mean,
classes as well. What's your instrument? I'm taking
Yeah, now I understand.
music theory, so you learn how to read, how to write, flute, rhythm.
See, man, the thing that sucks,
I didn't understand before, now I do.
she said, I didn't understand before, but now I
go
do.
to electric guitar because that's what I want to get into, but I want to sort of merge the two. I want
The thing is that sucks is that she had this incredible shamanic experience, and as you can hear, the people in the background are talking about how they want to buy this new guitar and stuff like that, and the space is very mysterious. It's a very mystical and magical experience, the DMT flash or any deep psychedelic state, and we don't have the map to navigate ourselves through those waters. Whereas, like I was talking about the Mazateks, those people have a huge system and method of how to work through this altered state that these compounds take you to. And the interesting thing is that mushrooms and DMT are almost identical on a molecular level. I think just one oxygen molecule away separates DMT from psilocybin. So they're very close structurally. And I don't know what these beings are. I've experienced them, and I don't know. That experience alone is what has kept me on the spiritual path, in air quotes, the spiritual path. It's what showed me that, oh, wait a second, there is actually something to this. There is something interesting about this life. There is more than what we can see. And all these stories that we heard of astral realms and chakra alignments and these psychedelic spaces brought on through meditation, these things are real. These things are real, and I think these spirit worlds are actually real also. And there's two possibilities that I think. I think one is that it's all in your head. All of this is in your head. These psychedelics, it's just a flood of chemicals being released into your brain or introduced into your brain, and you're having a waking dream. And I'm okay with that possibility. Sure, I could definitely accept that. Maybe it's just for some reason, like a dream, during these psychedelic states, your brain just doesn't know how to interact with this experience, so it produces some kind of form of an external intelligence or some kind of form of the other, meaning like how you can have a conversation with someone in your dream. When you're just talking to your subconscious, you're just talking to your head. Maybe. Who really knows what dreams are, too? That's another interesting thing to get into. But as far as we can work out, or as far as the mainstream belief goes, is that dreams are in your head. And you could also argue that this experience right now is in your head. That me talking to this camera and you perceiving my words is all just a projection of your senses. This is all just a matrix or simulated reality based on what is not, or what is being filtered through your limited senses as a human being. So maybe that, and then there's possibility two. Possibility two is that maybe you are perceiving more information. Your senses are allowing more data to be introduced, which is allowing you to perceive more of reality. And in this space beyond our senses exist intelligence, exist disembodied consciousness. Maybe this is where thoughts wait to be realized, the realm of creation, the realm of imagination or potential or possibility. The second option is that this is real and that you are experiencing another dimension or another who knows, another world, another realm, another plane. That's why this Earth is called a planet, because this is a plane of existence, and maybe we can tap into different planes of existence using these drugs and methods. I think that they're just as real as this reality. That's what I feel when I have those experiences, and this answer usually depends on how far away I am from my last trip. If you get me as I'm coming out of a trip, I'm hands down all in. I got a royal flush type of feeling when I say that it's real. Like, that's how confident I am that these spaces, these shamanic experiences actually exist. But if it's been a while since I've had a psychedelic experience or an experience like that, then I tend to try to rationalize it a little bit more. But having just left Mexico and having had Natalia, this Mazatec medicine woman, guide me through an entire night's journey of, who knows, 12 grams of mushrooms or 15 grams of mushrooms. And I had some really deep experiences, and I read some of those off in the last podcast because I take notes. I find it's important to take notes because a lot of that information gets lost as you come back to reality. Like a dream, you can hardly hang on to a dream. You have this intense dream, you're sweating, you're shaking, you don't know what's real or what's fake. You go to tell someone the dream and it's gone. I don't even remember what it was, even though I was just sweating over it. Your brain fights this off. Your ego needs to fight these experiences off as a way to not have you freak out, so that you can stay sturdy in your beliefs that this is the only reality. Because if the realities start blending and your ego gets lost, that can be a confusing experience. And the ego doesn't like to be confused. That's why it reassures its belief in itself. But you could have an experience where you are talking to something in these inner worlds. A lot of people think that you could be communicating with demons. I don't think they're demons. That's just not the perspective I get when I'm in that realm. And I'm not a Christian, So maybe that's, I'm not so influenced by that belief system. I do think there are energies that exist in this realm and in all realms that are consuming. I think there are energies that are consuming. I don't think anything is evil by nature. I think good and bad only exist in reference to an ego. If you accept the fact that your ego is just an operating system and that it's not actually who you are, and who you are is some eternal kind of energy that has chosen to manifest itself in this temporary form for a temporary time, and that who you are can't actually be lost or broken or burned or torn, but it's just a everlasting beingness that's losing itself in whatever attachment arises. But if you examine the thing in which everything is arising, the thing that is staying unchanged, the thing that is remaining because if you examine your life, your body is changing and your age changes and the things around you are changing, but there's a part of you inside of yourself that is unchanging, that's just watching all this shit happen. And I don't know where I was going with that, but there is an interesting part of yourself that is just watching stuff play out. It's just watching stuff play out, and that's who we are, I think. We lose ourselves in these egos, but when we can see ourselves beyond that, there's no good or bad. There's no evil. There just is. There just is. So then what does that make these beings? Does that mean they are spirits? Does that mean they are thoughts? I'm not sure. A part of me feels like it's the... Well, on this mushroom trip I had, it definitely seemed like the spirit world. It seemed like a realm of spirits, and it showed me that this is going to sound ridiculous, but it showed me that this world is a delayed reaction of the spirit world, and that spirits intentionally lose themselves in this physical manifestation. They're intentionally losing themselves here, and that we have the choice to go back into oneness, but we like the community. We like the warmth of each other's energy, We don't want to merge back into oneness. I mean, no, there's no even merging into oneness. You are essentially one by default. You can't merge into oneness because that kind of defeats the definition of oneness. But you can go back into source if you want to at any time. But we choose to seemingly lose ourselves for eternity. Because it's fun, I guess. I don't know. The same reason you like being around your friends, or the same reason you like to draw or lose yourself in any kind of creation. So that's what the mushroom told me. I don't think they're dead people, because the ego doesn't exist, and the mushroom has shown me that many times, that the ego is just thoughts, and you're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just sort of judgments of what's happening. You are what's happening, and then you have thoughts that judge what's happening, and that creates this illusion of persona. And, we sort of grab a hold of things that make us feel good, or things that get us to where we want to be. Like, that's why people wear Supreme and these kind of things. because they think that this will lead them to a destination that will make them happy. And it all comes back to a false identification with the ego, the false identification with the body. We don't know who we are, so we attach ourselves to symbols. We cling to symbols as a desperate attempt to discover any glimpse into what we are or what our place is here in this world. But I don't know. The beings are, I believe, as real as the beings in your dreams, and potentially even as real as the beings in your life. Because, I mean, if you get into some of this, come on, I don't have any degree in this stuff, but if you get into some of this quantum physics and all this kind of stuff, it kind of shows that there is something interesting happening. At the very least, I can say that it shows that something interesting is happening. How particles are existing in superstates, or existing in a state of potential, waiting to be realized. Or, certainly we know that this world, as I said, was a delayed reaction of the spiritual world. We understand that this world is the manifestation of some higher world, some subtle world, some reality beyond the reaches of what we can perceive. And we know that because they know that we're made up of atoms. And you can't see any of the atoms that make up our bodies. You can't see that you are actually a mosh pit of tiny particles spinning as solar systems spin. You are a solar system of spinning things. And this is the realization of those spinning things, the visible, physical manifestation of tiny things. And I guess that could be the spiritual world, that non-physical dimension in which makes up this physical dimension. And I remember talking to the mushroom, because my grandma just passed away. R.I.P. Grandma, miss you, love you. And I was worried about this. My grandma didn't die yet when I was taking the mushrooms. And the mushrooms, they laughed at me basically and said, "Don't worry about her trip. That's her trip. She'll figure it out. You know, we have done this before. And you will figure this out over and over and over again, as your grandma has." And but it showed me that you can actually communicate with energies in that dimension. These beings that you're talking to on DMT or mushrooms, or some people, on ayahuasca, which is a form of DMT. A way to communicate with these beings, and it showed me this in my mushroom trip, and I'm exposing a lot of very vulnerable information. I realize that this is the kind of information that gets people locked into schizophrenic hospitals. Sorry. I got the hiccups. But it showed me that geometry can help condense spiritual energy. Making geometry in this realm can help condense spiritual energy, and it can help be a bridge to gap the dimensions. And certain flowers and plants help also be a bridge. That's what mushrooms is. That's I was shown the marigold Mexican flower is the flower that they use for Dia de la Muerte, the Day of the Dead. The flower that they use for that was shown to me in my mushroom trip as being a bridge to the spirit world. Gopal, which is a type of incense, was shown to help. Tobacco is another one that was shown to... And I don't know. This is just what the mushroom was telling me. And I'm inclined to believe that we are tapping into the realm of the plants, the intelligence of the plants, the ancestors. That's why I think they called it the realm of the ancestors, because, you know, these plants and mushrooms have been around for a long time. They have a deep history of evolution, and I think that potentially you are tapping into that knowledge, and maybe some kind of DNA communication is happening or something, some kind of blend of worlds. I don't know what's happening. You can definitely have demonic experiences, for sure. I had a friend who had a very hellish DMT trip where he was stuck in an infinite thought loop where he couldn't get out of this loop. It was just you remember, like, what's that movie? Doctor Strange, where Doctor Strange is just repeating the same moment over and over again to torture that demon. My friend was experiencing that, but except a demon was doing that to him. And I'm not sure if these are intelligences that are doing this to you on purpose, or if this is just some kind of trauma or fear that you have, and it's crystallizing itself because you're confronting it and you just can't surrender to it. So it just kind of builds and builds and builds. You know, it's like if you sit there and think about something, the anticipation builds and builds and builds and builds and manifests and crystallize. It can crystallize into a physical shake or physical anxieties, to all these kind of things. You know, you're biting your nails, your legs are shaking. Could that be something like that? Could you just be manifesting a fear? Or is it real? The shamans would say it was real. I usually go with the idea that it's in your head. But I don't know, after this last mushroom trip really shook me up, and really it's so direct. The voice of the mushroom is so direct, and it's so not you. And I guess that's what schizophrenics say, is that they can hear things in their heads that isn't them, and that's what it feels like. It feels like somebody is hijacking your inner speaker, and it's like getting plugged in and downloaded for like an upgrade. And you have to invoke the voice of the mushroom if you want to communicate with it. That's why everyone doesn't have this experience, is because not always is ceremony important. It can happen without ceremony. It could just happen because the conditions are right, and that's your karma. And but if you want to have this experience, you have to invoke the voice of the mushroom. You have to invoke the voice of the spirits, the voice of the ancestors. You know, this last mushroom trip really seemed like the kind of shit that you see in movies about magic and witchcraft. Like, it showed me a lot of geometry, and how geometry is useful in ceremony, which seems kind of, I don't know, it seems kind of witchy and kind of Hollywood fake, but it was showing me that the spirits, the geometry helps. It helps be a bridge to the spirit world. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, the thing is that I'm not alone, and that's what also is very reassuring to me, is that, like, this girl, I was really happy to see that she had an experience in which she was talking about meeting them, and that these voices and people were reassuring her that things were going to be okay, and they weren't using language, but they were speaking to her through feelings. And that has been my experience, is that they talk to you It's like when you have a thought, but you can't explain that thought, but it's just a feeling that you know. It's like, fuck, I know it, but I just can't put it into words. They talk to you like that. That's how the voice communicates with you. And I've had it speak to me through an actual voice also, but it seems to be through symbols. And I mean, that's essentially what language is symbols. But it's reassuring to know that these experiences are reproducible. That a girl from Canada can have the same experience that a shaman in the jungle is talking about. Or that I'm talking about. And I don't know shit about this stuff. I had these experiences, and now I'm just trying to figure out how it was possible for me to have those experiences, while everyone else is like focused on this cultural identity that was given to us. For example, like, this is who you have to be, a productive member of society. You know, stand up straight, make sure you're dressed for the role. Like, while everyone's doing that, I'm having these crazy experiences that other cultures, that these ancient cultures have been talking about, that our culture has written off as fairy tale. It's put me in a weird position because you can hardly talk about it. But it's reassuring. It's reassuring to see people like that girl, that Canadian girl, having that experience. It's nice in a way because it shows that this is interesting. At the very least, that you could have an experience that seems as real as this, and that leaves the question to what is reality? What is reality at that point? If I can have an experience through eating something that grows from the earth, if I can eat something and it puts me into another reality that seems as solid as this reality while I'm in it, just as much as I get lost in a dream or just as much as I'm lost in this physical world, what does that mean for reality? Where does that leave us? What does that say for consciousness? That consciousness is so faulty, that reality can be stripping away, and that you don't know what is real and what's not. Where the boundaries of imagination and reality become entangled. And maybe they are always entangled. I mean, how much do we live in our thoughts? How often do you live in your thoughts over reality? How much are you crystallizing your insecurities and living through the projection of your insecurities? Oh, this person thinks that of me. They're staring at me, aren't they? They're over there talking shit. When these people can be living their lives, however. You know, we live in our heads more than we live in reality, I'd say. And we dream, we're sleeping, we're in the sleep space for half our lives, at least a quarter of our lives. So how much time is spent in our head, and how much time is real? What is real? Is there a difference between being awake and being asleep? Is the dream world less real because you're unawake? Or are you simply experiencing something else? I find it very bizarre that our bodies shut off for half the day and our consciousness just keeps on doing its thing. It's just sometimes, I mean, I've had dreams where I'm like working, or where I'm like going to school, or where I'm like maybe a different person. I don't even think anything of it. I don't look down and think, hey, wow, I'm in a different body. It just is like, okay, I'm in my body and I've got to walk over here now. Why does no one think that's weird? Why do we just wake up and brush that off as if it's some normal occurrence? I guess it is normal because it's normal, but everyone's looking for mystical experiences. You do it every night. You do it every night. Yeah, I don't know what reality is. Ramana Maharshi used to say that reality, it must always remain real. It doesn't come with names or forms or anything like that. Whatever underlies these things is what reality is. Reality must be true. So anything temporary is not true because it's temporary. It can be proclaimed as unreal if it is not there, right? If it's just something that's popping up and going away. Reality must always be real. And I don't know what that means, because what can remain? What remains? What is not temporary? It seems to just be whatever the source is. The unchanging, untorn thing that we were talking about that is just watching everything play out. And the thing is about that is that the unchanging spot in me that is just watching everything change, and the unchanging spot in you that's just watching everything change is the same. It's the same. That's the source. There's a place inside of ourselves that has touched the source of reality. Think about the first action that ever happened in the entire realm of creation. Science calls it the Big Bang, whatever you want to call it. You come from that. You come from that. Every step that first action is taken has led to this moment of this exchange, of you watching this. Nothing happens on accident. I believe that we are all in this karmic entanglement for a reason. There's a reason that the people that come into my life. Who knows why? I can't say why, but there is no accidents in the universe. That's why we find patterns everywhere, because the universe is producing a mathematical language. We can read the language that the universe is producing if we could only be mathematical geniuses. And I guess that's what astrology attempts to do. And I sort of envision it like this. If you were standing above the universe and looking at it as a timeline, say you're in Premiere and you're editing a video and you have a timeline of history from the start, you could look at the sound waves of reality in this sequence, this editing sequence, like you're editing a song or something like that, and you can see the up and down frequency of the universe. You would see that it's producing patterns. That's why everything is a circle in the sky. That's why Earth is a circle. That's why the moon is a circle and the sun's a circle. And that's why everything is spinning around each other. And that's why the atoms in your body are spinning around each other. And that's why all these patterns go infinitely big to infinitely small. There is an equation that is flowing throughout time. And yeah, I believe that you can. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, that Notre Dame fire. How do you guys feel about that? I only know the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Is it Dane or Dame? Dame? Notre Dame? Norte Dame? What is that? A church? A church burned down. Okay. Yeah, it's sad. I saw the people singing that song outside of it while it burns. But I don't know if you knew this, but most of the fucking world is metaphorically on fire right now, you sick fucks. Where's your tears for that? Where are your Christmas carols for that? I don't see people caroling the streets for poverty. You know? I live in Detroit. There's a homeless guy out on the corner. Where's his rally? He's basically in a burning building right now. It's called capitalism. The whole show is on fire. We're all hypnotized by the lights. But backstage, it's not looking so good, and it's slowly creeping up to the forefronts. And if we don't wake up, we'll be in the audience while the stage is on fire, thinking it's a part of the show. But it's not. What am I talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little out of it today, guys. Like I said, I'm just getting over being sick. As you can hear, I'm a little sniffly and a little coffee still. Speaking of coffee, I drank 3 coffees today. That's the first time in my life I ever drank 3 coffees. What else? Oh, yeah, I've been saying I'm going to answer some questions. And, yeah, I'll do that because I don't ever answer questions on here. And if you would like to leave a question, you can leave a question at aplaceforhumans@gmail.com. aplaceforhumans@gmail.com. Please leave a voice note or a video that's about, I don't know, 30 seconds to a couple minutes long, not too much over a couple minutes. Because I don't know. I don't want to read some long paragraph. I like to hear your voices, and I want to know the people that are listening to this podcast. I want to hear you. I want to feel your energy. This question is from Augie. I believe that's how you say your name.
Oh, what's up, Dakota? I was wondering if you could talk about, like, following your life purpose, path, direction. Because, like, for me, I'm almost 18, so it's kind of like you kind of have to start figuring that out a little bit. It's a little confusing.
What'd you say? How to follow your life? How to follow life purpose, path, or direction. So how do you follow your life purpose, path, or direction? I don't know if we have a life purpose or direction. Like, where are we supposed to go? You're here. Wherever you're at is where you're supposed to be, because there you are. I don't know if we have a life purpose. I guess whatever you feel passionate about, chase that. Chase your passions. I can't say what that is because we all have different passions. And maybe your passions will change, and that's okay. Chase that. I think that might be what our purpose is. But ultimately, it seems that maybe our purpose is just to realize that, to be here now, as Ram Dass said, to just to be here now, to be present, and to realize that the thing that we're looking for is what's looking. We're looking for that unchanging place, but we're too caught up in looking at the things that are changing. We're too hypnotized by all these morphing things in front of us that we don't realize that the thing we're looking for is what's looking. We're looking for ourselves. We're looking for truth. We're looking for reality. We're looking for the unchanging, the mystery. And that can be found in the present. There's nowhere you need to go to look for that. And I keep finding it funny. The more I travel, the more I'm looking for something. I'm always looking for something. I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'm looking for it. Crazy experience, adventure, enlightenment, yogis, mushrooms. I'm looking for some high. But the real high is when I'm just like, holy fucking shit, I'm alive. Like, I can go anywhere I want, but I'm here. I'm in this body. I'm on this planet. I'm in this universe. I am. And there's nothing more wild than that. One of my friends who died, he was sober for a long time, and I told him about the healing powers of ayahuasca and wachuma and the healing powers of the shamans in the Amazon. So he went and moved to the Amazon for a year, and later came home and he ended up dying. But he said he wanted to take a bunch of wachuma, which is this type of cactus, San Pedro, and he wanted to see how far out he could go. He was like, I'm going to go as far out as I can go. And what his realization was, whoa, he zoomed through the depths of the universe and woke back up in his body and was like, this is the far out place. This is as far out as it gets. Being alive is as far out as it gets. And we might miss it because we're looking for something else. So, I don't know what the purpose of life is. To be loving, to do what makes you happy, I guess. This was an interesting question. This next one comes from Cody. And I only listened to a couple seconds of it, and I was like, I'm just going to listen to this on the podcast. So let's just jump into it. And feel free, you guys, to leave some comments and give these people advice also, because that's what this is about. I give shitty advice sometimes, and I see some really good comments left sometimes. So let's listen to Cody.
Hi, I'm Cody. I'm a grateful recovering addict. Well, those are just descriptors. I wasn't really spiritual until a couple years ago. I've struggled with suicidal ideation, attempting multiple times. I finally got my wish one day, 2 years ago when I was 19, on July 3rd of 2017. I have had more overdoses than I can count on two hands, but this one was different. I was at work when I overdosed. I went into sudden cardiac arrest. There was an ambulance outside of my work that had no reason to be there at all. The EMTs came into my work and performed CPR on me for 10 minutes. I had no heartbeat or oxygen going to any of my organs for those 10 minutes.
Jeez,
I was clinically dead. They were about to call it, but at the last minute they resuscitated me. When I came back to consciousness, I was confused and disoriented. I felt so angry at myself and at the world, so desperate, sad, anxious, scared, hopeless, lonely, and also unified, joyful, hopeful, compassionate, safe, wanted, and loved. I have never felt so much and so contradicting feelings at once. For those 10 minutes I was dead, I didn't experience anything. To say I experienced nothing is an understatement, because there was nothing. There were no God or gods, spirits, deceased loved ones, memories, thoughts, or physical sensations, not even blackness. There was just nothing.
You know, I had one of my dad's friends when I was younger. I remember his name. His name is Freddie, and Freddie died like 10 times. And I'm not even kidding. Like, at my grandma's funeral, Freddie was there, and I remember asking my cousin Brian. I was like, "Is it a myth that Freddie's died all these times, or did he actually die?" My cousin was like, "No shit, he's actually died a couple times." So Freddie, the fucking fanatical escape artist, that warlock, that freaking wiggly warlock wiggling out of death's grips. Freddie, I think I asked him once, like, what was it like? And he said the same thing, that it's just nothing. Which, I don't know. Anyways, sorry to cut you off.
It's like it never even happened. Sometimes I feel like it didn't even happen, even though I know it did. I believe that my consciousness couldn't comprehend what death was. Maybe I didn't experience anything because I wasn't ready. Or maybe I believe that because I have to in order to go on with my life. Honestly, I don't know if I was trying to die that day or not. When you're an addict, there's a fine line between accidental overdoses and purposeful ones. After I had died and came back, I had two profound realizations. One is that I had been spending so much time searching for love that I didn't even realize. This whole time the universe has been loving me, and I haven't been loving it back. The second was that awareness and feeling is a gift. To not be able to be aware for 10 minutes has made me realize that feeling and awareness is a gift and a great thing. I spent 7 years numbing myself with drugs. Try not to feel, and try not to be aware. To be able to feel again, the good and the bad. All of it.
Yes, I love
It
that.
makes
I
me so
love
grateful.
that's it. That's the thing, man. That what you said there. That to feel and to be aware is a gift. Like my friend that died. This is the far out place. This is the gift. If you open your eyes, there's fucking presents all over the place. That's what this life is about. Is about being able to experience what it means to be alive for a temporary amount of time. What's crazier than waking up? What's crazier than waking up? Alan Watts used to say, what will it be like to go to sleep and never wake up? If you think about this question long enough, another question will naturally arise. And that question will be, what was it like to wake up without having gone to bed? What was it like to wake up without having gone to bed? You just woke up here, whoa, in this body, this little geometric swirl of atoms. You're a little swirl daddy in this swirly universe. And yeah, I don't know. I say some stupid stuff sometimes, but I don't know what to say. I didn't mean to just diminish your story here. That's fuck, dude. Those are really good realizations to have. I mean, what more do you need to learn in life other than that? There is love waiting for you to realize it. That the universe loves you, and that's why you're alive. Is because there's something special happening. And the universe woke up, and the feeling it has when it remembers that it woke up through you is love. When you connect with another human being, is almost like recognizing that the universe is communicating with itself in an intimate way. And its spontaneous reaction to that, again, is love. Oh, wow. Cool, man. Cool. Fuck yeah, that's so cool. So I hope you're doing better. I mean, it sounds like you are doing better. That's badass, man. You're not just being happy with where you're at. If you're worried about like where you're supposed to be, you might get hit with a hammer. And you might never get to the place where you're trying to go because you're so busy trying to get there and you forget where you're at. But it's beautiful everywhere, you know. Beauty isn't waiting for you. It's here. It's waiting for you here, if anything. Ugh. Shit, boys. Well, what's next? We got one more question. This is from Sierra. Oh, shit. And I thought I got listened to this one, and I was like, maybe I already answered this question. But if I already answered it, whatever. I'll answer it again.
Hello, Dakota.
I think I did answer this one again before.
In love with your podcast. I was thinking a couple of like really broad ideas would be to talk about maybe like what you think about the theory that we're in a simulation, you know, like is the Matrix real, all of that. You could talk about like singularity, how we're going to reach that. I mean, within the next 15, 20 years. You could talk about potential doomsdays. I don't know. Any conspiracy theories you haven't brought up on the show already? That'd be cool. All right.
So yeah, I'm almost positive I answered that question.
Have a good day.
One of the podcasts before, but some conspiracy theories I haven't talked about yet, and I made a video about this once, but I deleted it because I got a little paranoid. Okay, so I went into Bohemian Grove once. For those of you that don't know what Bohemian Grove is a real place where real politicians and big CEOs and corporate people meet up to do these theatrical rituals, and they do what's called the cremation of care, where they do a mock human sacrifice to a forest spirit while they're all wearing hoods and communicating with this spirit. They do this whole play. And Bohemian Grove started off as an artistic secret society where artists and poets and people could come together to lose themselves in a world of shared creativity. And it has since evolved into a place where rich people do business and politicians go to hang out. And you'll have competing politicians hanging out like they're best friends in places like this. And it's real. You can Google this. Alex Jones snuck in there and filmed the cremation of care. It's a legit thing that actually takes place, and I have been in there twice. I've seen the owl. The owl exists. It's big, tall owl around a tiny little bit of water. It looks like a normal campground. I've been in Bohemian Grove. That's a crazy thing to say. And I don't know if I can even talk about it. I'm too worried. I get nervous talking about it. I made the video. The video got like 100,000 views. And everyone in the comments was like, "You're so stupid for telling this story because, hello, you idiot. You're telling the story online. People can see this." And here I am talking about it again. So I don't know what I learned from that. But yeah, I don't know if I can tell the story about how I was allowed inside. But I went inside Bohemian Grove 2 different times. And I can confirm there's a lot of weird symbology in there. Lots of demonic symbology. Like actual demons, like with horns, like the kind of traditional idea of what we perceive demons to be. And owls. Owls everywhere. Obelisk with owls on top of them. And it's an interesting place. I don't know what they're doing there, what they're doing inside of there. Some people think that these rich elites are doing these rituals to sort of like what I was talking about, what the shamans are doing to communicate with the spirit world. They think that these people are doing that, but doing it in a sort of sinister way or sort of witchcrafty kind of way to gain power from these dark dimensions. And maybe they are. Maybe they are. I don't know. But what I kind of think it is that these traditions are being carried out from the original intent. That this was a place where theatrics were inspired, and perhaps the cremation of care, although very obscure and occult, like, is just a tradition being carried out. But I couldn't tell you why George Bush has a hood on his head while talking to a nature spirit and burning a fake human body. But it happens, and you can actually watch people confronting politicians about it on YouTube, and they kind of choke up and don't know what to say when talking about it. Some weird shit happens in this world. Some weird shit happens. I think that's it. I think that is enough of this podcast for today. Yeah, okay, cool. I love you guys. Make sure to head over to patreon.com/DakotaWent to join my Patreon. Get the podcast a couple days early. Get some uncut, raw. Ooh, that sounds real sexual. Uncut and raw content. NSFW. But head over to patreon.com/DakotaWent. And also head over to Stay Happy, Stay Weird. This shirt I'm wearing right now. Oh, look at this. This is the first time this shirt has ever been seen by public. It is an It is an exclusive t-shirt. Fuck, that took me more than a second to vomit. But this is a shirt that says life is a trip and then you die, but you still have time. That's what it says. Life is a trip and then you die, but you still have time. So that's not out yet, but there is a code. Oh, what's the code? The code is a place for humans. I believe it's for 10% off and also free shipping in the United States. Use the code A Place for Humans at stayhappystayweird.com. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that other stuff. Dakota Wint, that's my name. I am the host of this show. And I'm looking to get more guests on here. I'm looking to upgrade some of this equipment. So, yeah, I don't know. Subscribe. I love you guys. A Place for Humans. Break it down. Sorry about that. Love you guys. Adios.